Hello, this is Dr. Asan Abdullah with the course Web Applications Programming. And the topic which we are covering is HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap programming. And that is topic number 8 in the course list. And so this is lecture number 8B. Why it is 8B? Because in 8A we covered HTML programming, and in this lecture, video lecture 8B, we will be covering cascading style sheet CSS. And of course, in the next lecture, which is 8C in the series, that will be Bootstrap programming. So why we have 8A, 8B, and 8C? Because the topic has a lot of content in it and examples in it and coding in it. And so it is worthwhile to have a separate lecture video for each of these topics. So in this one, we will be covering 8B, which is cascading style sheet. So this is the personalized learning management system, and it has some wonderful features which facilitate and which help you get the most out of it. So it provides full text search, basic and advanced, and you can search for the topics or the material of your interest. And if there is any visual disability, the user can set the font size, the color, the line spacing, the type of font to facilitate to maximize. And the content is displayed and is presented in a nested hierarchical fashion in a manner, and that helps facilitate. For example, you have the bullets, then you have the summary, then you have the explanation of the bullets, and then you have the references and diagrams if needed. And of course there are online exams also to practice to know what you have learned, and the system also identifies the weaknesses, and the system tracks your progress, so you know what you have covered, what you have not covered. And of course it is uh, beneficial, and it has been optimized to work on small devices also like smartphones, their alignment and everything. So this is all explained in these 6 videos, and these videos are available at this URL, or you can go to YouTube and type my name, Dr. Hassan Abdullah, and it will take you to my official YouTube channel where these videos are available. And the approach of this course is maximizing upon the question and answer based approach, which is very proactive and which is very engaging. Okay, and it promotes thinking, and of course it also capitalizes on the traditional approach where data and facts are presented. So it's the best of the both worlds, which is topic number 8, HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap programming. Now, within this topic, there are 15 questions and answers, which is the approach of this course. And each of those 15 question and answer is a concept. And within that concept, there are the bullets, then there's a summary and their description of the bullets, there's a diagram if needed, and their references. So in 8A, we covered the first five Q&A, and in 8B, we will be covering the next five Q&A. Okay. Now the list of Q&A is there. So this is just to give you an idea to prepare you what you will come across. So what you come across when we go to the supplemental website, then corresponding to each of these Q&A, there will be active live links. So we'll click on those links and we'll go ahead with the explanation. Thank you. So now we are at video 8B, and we go into details of the questions and their answers, which are basically the concepts. So 8A was HTML, and 8B is CSS, and 8C is bootstrapping. So what is CSS and why do we need it? Well, there's lots and lots to talk about CSS, but we cannot do all of that talking because there's other material which also needs to be covered. But my objective is to share code with you, explain the code to you, and you should be able to appreciate the need and the requirement of CSS. So CSS basically stands for cascading style sheets, and they add. Some people say they make the web page attractive and exciting. What I would look at it that it should make your web page more practical, more intuitive, more usable, and more understandable. Okay, and it should capture the user and engage the user. Okay, so we'll talk more about it, what CSS is and why do we need CSS. So I have given some of the reasons why we need CSS. And separation of content and style, yeah, this is very important because the content is, say for example, we have it's about it maybe it could be a blog, or it could be a contact form, or it could be a registration form, and so on. So instead of kind of using them together, we define the style, okay, the CSS, which is separate from the content, and then we can make changes in the content without affecting the style, and we can of course change the style and change the appearance of the content. So separation of content and style, so that is very convenient. And then is the design consistency. Since something we have defined the style, and there are different ways of defining the style, which I will cover very soon. So the benefit of this approach is that their design can be made to be consistent. Okay, and that consistency has its own beauty. And responsive web design. So the your web page runs fast, loads fast, displays fast, and there is a better user experience. So if you are able to engage the user, then of course you have been successful, right? And performance optimization is also there. So I'll will very briefly go over all of them, and in the end I'll show you an example of without CSS and with CSS, and also give you the code also, so you can work and play with it. So CSS is cascading design sheets, style sheets, cascading style sheets. Okay, and you can set the color, font, spacing, and layout adjustment, and buffering, and you can do many things. You can do a lot. Okay, and you have all the flexibility and all the creativity. Okay, and you can customize your website for different devices and different you can optimize the experience. Okay, so you can do a lot of things, so you have to be creative. So we can you can have our, or we can you can have CSS for HTML or XML also, and it it is very crucial, and it works alongside HTML and JavaScript. Okay, and almost all of the modern browsers, they support CSS. And why we need CSS? Because we want to enhance, CSS enhances the aesthetic and usability of the websites. I would not limit it to websites. I will go beyond web applications. Okay, and it ensures uniformity across the website or the web application. And as I said before, that it separates the content from the style. Design consistency, responsive web design. How it becomes responsive? Because it adapts the layout and appearance of a website to fit various screen sizes. Not only various screen sizes, but on mobile devices, the rotation of the mobile device changes the display, should change the display, right? And the display should be changed in such a manner that what should be displayed and what should not be displayed. So a responsive design ensures that the users have an optimal viewing experience, right? So user experience is very important, and which is supported by CSS. Okay, and performance optimization. How style is separate from the content, separating the style from the content. All right, so minimizes the size of the HTML files, even so that I can basically I'll show you in the next screen that we can place the CSS file separately and call it. So this is one example. This is plain HTML, a contact us form. name, email, message, and send. And this is the contact us form using font awesome, and you can see the color and everything, and this is very professional looking. This is very down to earth, raw kind of. So how can you make these forms? So here's the code. So this is the code for this simple raw contact us form. You can copy paste it, and this is for the spiced up form. And these are the font awesome, right? So you should have this link in the head of your web page, right? So that these fonts are called, and you see that everything has been defined very carefully: the color, the font, and the height of the font, and RGBA coding, you can see. So I would suggest that you you can spend time on it, but you can also kind of work with it, right? Because that requires a lot of going into detail. All right. So there are three types of CSS and their application domain, and I will do a comparison also. One is the inline CSS. Inline CSS means that within the HTML you write a style, that is inline CSS. And then is the internal CSS. Internal CSS, this example over here, this is internal CSS, right? This is internal CSS, and what you have is that in us you have the within the style tags you have defined what should be what. So this is, you have to define the body tag and the contact box, and the contact box padding is defined, and the border radius is defined, and all the things have been defined. The third one is the external CSS. This is the external CSS. So a CSS file is being called all.min.css, which is located at this location. Because without this file, font awesome is not going to work. This is font awesome, right? This icons, kind of icons, is font awesome. It's not going to work. So this is all the three types of CSS style, which is localized. And then you have this internal CSS, which works for the page. And then you have it has its own pros and cons also. And then you have the external CSS, which is separate CSS file. This is how it looks like, and it is reusable across multiple pages, but it requires extra HTTP, and there is a delay also in rendering because you are accessing over the internet. So we have this inline inside HTML tags, and internal within the head, and external is separate CSS file. So they have their own pros and cons. Okay, let's now go into some more detail and CSS code for creating and displaying a box model in the center of the screen, and explain working of the code. Okay, so first, so this is the these are the basic uh, kind of things which we will be interested in. Let me first show you what is meant by a box model also, and then we go ahead. So this is the very simplest one. Okay, a normal paragraph, right? And a class is used to highlight. So that is the selectors and the text. So this is the second box model. So we have a box, we have a border also, dotted border, right? And so this is the second box model. This is the third box model. So we have these buttons. These are not yet buttons, okay? They are just boxes. So these are boxes, and we have text centered in them, and they are equally spaced and equally sized. And this is a button, and it has a transition also. When it's kind of hover effect also. So I can link this button to a page also. So these are the different box models, and this is the code to create these box models. Okay, so this is the code to create these box models, right? And uh, what is important other than HTML is the basic styling. This is the body, and this is the font size, right? And these are the different classes that have been defined. So what is the box model dot box? So dot box is demonstrates the margin, padding, border, and background color. So when we define a box, so this is the way the box is defined. This is the way the box is defined, right? So I have this dot box dash model, and things have been defined, width, padding, and everything. So I have this box model, then I have box model H1, right? And box model P also. So I'm going to use this as a class. So here I'm using that class as a class, box dash model. Okay. And maybe elsewhere I might use box dash model H1, right? So that's the way I'm going to use it. So if you are interested in more of it, so here's the references. This is very interesting. Give and explain CSS code that gives the impression of zooming an image. So it gives the impression of zooming an image. And as the proverb goes, that an image is worth 1,000 words. So that creates a significant impact. So we have the HTML structure setup, which is kind of default, and then we have the style sheets and the page layout, which you have seen in the previous examples. Now this is interesting, image zoom behavior on hover. So this basically gives the impression of a zoom in. It gives the impression of zoom in, and that zoom in is controlled at how the zooming would take, how much time would it take, so how smooth it is. All right, and then the caption for the user guidance. So let me first demonstrate it to you, and then we will go into the details. So this is the image here, right? So this is the zoom effect. So now understand that this there's no actual, there's no animation here, right? So it is the way it takes the time and how it works. So this is the code here, right? So we have this dot zoom container, right? And this is going to be used as a class, zoom container image, zoom container hover, and then is the CSS. So I'm using over here the caption, hover over the image to zoom in, right? And what is this? This is basically uh this is the location of the image. This is the image location, right? So that's how it works. And if you look at the code, image zoom behavior on hover, okay? So what is important here is it it hides part of image, otherwise it would overflow. This gives the illusion of zooming in. It There is a transition, okay? So that takes time also. So what you can do, if you are not happy with the results, you can play with these numbers, but be careful that do not get drawn into these numbers, because that can take a lot of time also. So we end this topic with a very interesting challenge. Okay, why it's challenge? Because here I am going to give you the pseudocode, and I am going to give you the explanation of the pseudocode, and it would be a good challenge if you could uh, write write the code which will involve HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to do what is required to be done. It is not very difficult, but it is has certain amount of challenge to it. So give a HTML, CSS, JavaScript page that displays selected videos in a frame, in a frame by clicking the corresponding button. So these are the three courses which should be displayed, and their introductory lectures uh, into at a single place, and those selection should be based upon buttons. So let me first show you what I mean here. So we have these three courses. and these are the buttons which are going to play the video, right? And this is the pseudocode explanation, right? And this is the pseudocode itself. So this is the pseudocode and this is the explanation of the pseudocode. And let's now take a look at the working. So if I click on Introduction to Web Applications Programming, so I have this this iframe has opened up. If I click on it, this video will play. And if I click on Introduction to Natural Language Processing, I click the video button and the video changes. Introduction to Natural Language Processing 1A. Introduction to Analysis of Algorithms, I click on it and I have Introduction to Analysis of Algorithms. So this is all I have for the lecture 8B. So then we move on to 8C. Thank you.